Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the season one slash series finale of Agatha All Along. It was a two-episode finale. The first of the episodes was called Follow Me, My Friend, to Glory at the end, and as it starts, Alice wakes up in the spot where she fell to find Rio, aka Death, telling her it's time to go, and she sees her own drained body lying on the floor. She questions how it's fair that she doesn't have any time left, and Rio explains that, well, she's a protection witch who died protecting someone, and that's just the way it goes. Alice then follows Death off into a green mist. Meanwhile, Jennifer is beside herself over Lilia having died. Rio, aka Death, and Agatha then talk about how Agatha promised her a bunch of bodies and produced them, before Rio talks to Agatha about how she's been protecting Billy, whom Rio calls an abomination, disrupting the sacred balance that shouldn't exist. She tells Agatha that she knows that she cares about Billy, which Agatha denies, and she asks Agatha why she lets people believe the story about what she did to her son, and Agatha says that it's because the truth is too awful. Rio explains that she can't let the son of the Scarlet Witch steal another life to bring his brother back, the way he stole one to bring himself back, which is his goal. But at the same time acknowledges that she can't just take him because he'll reincarnate, and that she has to instead get him to turn himself in, as it were, which Agatha promises to do in exchange for being let go from Death, pursuing her, and Rio agrees. Rio then cuts through the air like it's a piece of fabric and walks away. Agatha then urges Billy and Jenny to finish the last trial, and while talking about it with them, stumbles and falls to find that they've all returned full circle to where they left their shoes when they started the road. Billy decides he's just going to put his shoes back on, which he only took off originally out of respect for the road, which he no longer respects. And the next thing he knows, he wakes up inside what appears to be a body bag alongside Agatha and Jenny, who subsequently wake up likewise. And they're all wearing plain long nightshirts, to which Agatha is able to attach her trademark cameo pin. It turns out that Agatha is the one who bound Jenny without realizing it was her when she was doing bindings for money in the 1920s. So Jenny grabs some of Agatha's hair and twists it around Agatha's wrist to perform an unbinding ritual, which seems to give her back her power, at which point she immediately disappears because the road gave her what she was looking for. Agatha tells Billy she's going to help him find his brother and help give him a body. She talks him through remembering the last time he was with his brother when Wanda's world collapsed. She coaches him through trying to find an empty body to put Tommy in. And he seems to do that in a boy who dies drowning. And when he asks Agatha if he's killing this boy because of his brother so that he can live, she says no, sometimes boys just die. Before opening her cameo pin and looking at what seems to be hair from her son, perhaps an eyelash. Billy then disappears, and Agatha seems to try to bring her son back by mixing a hair of hers with his hair and burying it in the ground under the room they're in, which is now accessible because the floor broke open when Billy put Tommy in another body. But her time in the trial is running out, and it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But just as the last light goes out, it blinks back on as a flower seems to grow out of what she planted. And then all the lights come back on as dirt starts to fall through the ceiling. And Agatha escapes up the stairs to a door and demands to be let out of the room. When she's let out, she finds herself back in her regular clothes back up above the road and confronted by Rio, again, also Death, who says that she didn't live up to her side of the bargain because Billy is just gone. Agatha tries doing a spell to expel Death, who calls her a coward, which reminds Agatha that Lillian had told her to hit the deck when she's called a coward. A sink flies out of the basement and misses her because she ducked, and she is then lashed to a tree by Rio, despite her trying to do a spell. But Billy shows up in full regalia as Wiccan and throws Rio away. He then zaps Agatha so that she can drain some of his power to get her power back while telling her not to take it all. After she gets her powers back, she's able to break free and fly, and then lands back in her full regalia before releasing Billy. Rio gives them the chance to volunteer one of them to go with her and one of them to stay, so Agatha tosses Billy away and fights with Rio. But Billy rejoins the fight and attacks Rio, and while she's momentarily down, Agatha acknowledges that it should be her who dies, but Billy is reluctant to allow that to occur. And then, abruptly, Agatha says, okay, take him, and walks away, much to Billy's shock. So he contacts her telepathically to ask if this is how Nicky died, Nicholas Scratch, Agatha's son. Agatha then approaches Death and kisses her, which causes some kind of weird black swirl to go up around them both, before Agatha floats back towards the ground, eyes closed, before her body is grown over by the earth, which starts to flower and bloom where her body was. Upon the pile rests her cameo pin, which Billy picks up. Rio then tells Billy he may go before walking away from where Agatha rests. He then walks to his car and drives off as the residents of Westview look on. He returns to his reincarnation family, who says he's been gone for more than a day. He looks around his room at a poster of Alice's mother and a statue he has of Alphaba from The Wizard of Oz, which gives him a flashback to when he met Agatha and other items in his room that give him flashbacks to his journey on the road. He remembers Lillian telling him that he has the power to turn his goals into reality. As he goes around the room remembering things, it seems like everything that happened on the road was by his doing. He realizes this before hearing someone laughing behind him, at which point he turns around and is startled by someone saying boo, who would seem to be Agatha. And that's where the first episode ended. Second episode was called Maiden Mother Crone. As it starts at 1750, and Agatha runs through the woods in labor before stopping to try to give birth by a tree. But Rio, again, aka Death, who is Agatha's lover, is there, and Agatha begs her to let her son live, so she says she can only offer time, but disappears. Agatha then gives birth to like a 6-month-old before walking for a time and coming upon a group of women who allow them to enter their protected circle. We don't see it, but it would appear in the next moment that she kills them all before walking off with her son. In a flash forward to 6 years later, Nicholas steals something from a woman in a village and brings it to Agatha. She then kills the women, apparently witches, who gave chase. When Nicholas asks her why, she says they have to survive. Together, they then seem to write the Ballad of the Witch's Road as they walk away from the village they were just in. When Nicholas is hungry, he asks her to make some food with her magic, but she explains that her magic can only do certain things. They continue to craft the Ballad of the Witch's Road during their daily activities, but they call it the Windy Road, not the Witch's Road. Next, we see that Nikki has been performing the ballad as the Ballad of the Witch's Road in a tavern for money, though they still sleep in the woods. In the middle of the night, Rio, aka Death, shows up to call Nicholas, and he goes off with her. Agatha wakes to find him dead and buries him. And she's then approached by a woman who says she thought perhaps Agatha knows the way to the Witch's Road. So Agatha begins the process of gathering a coven to go down the Witch's Road, but it doesn't go well, and she ends up stealing the other witch's power. She then repeats this over and over and keeps gathering power. She apparently never actually expected to go down the Witch's Road, which is why she was surprised when the door actually opened when she tried it this last time with her most recent coven, because as far as she knew, it didn't actually exist. Back in the present, Agatha shows up as a ghost in Billy's room with all gray hair. It turns out that there was no such thing as the Witch's Road until Billy made it real. Billy starts to talk about how if he made the Witch's Road, he must have killed everyone that died there from the coven, but Agatha seems to tell him otherwise. Somewhere in a field outside Westview, Lillian breaks through the grass and flies away. Agatha explains that she was originally going to kill all the witches on day one, but that they ended up going down the road because he made it a reality. So he goes to Agatha's house and she follows him. She seems to be interested in just getting her cameo back, but he does a spell to banish her, much to her protestations, as it seems she doesn't want to die because she can't face Nicholas. She manages to knock her cameo out of his hand and take it back, and Billy tells her he thinks Nicholas will forgive her. Agatha says Billy reminds her of him, and they talk about maybe her being his spirit by his side as his guide, as in the ballad. He seems to seal the door to the Witch's Road, and the names of the deceased coven members show up engraved on it. And a door out of the basement opens, and as they head towards the exit, which is covered in a crazy white light, Agatha says, "Let's go find Tommy." And that's where the episode and the season and maybe the series ended. So, first thing I want to say is that I really liked these two episodes, and even the one prior. I think they were quite a step up from the episodes we'd kind of gotten in the middle after the first one or two, which were kind of just, filler, really. I guess they dropped tidbits of information along the way that ended up paying off in the finale, and that's cool. But the main structure of those episodes was pretty paint by number, so I wasn't able to say I was in love with them, but I did enjoy them. But in these last couple of episodes, they really stepped it up. I really enjoyed this finale. I think, it's great that we got to see more about what happened with Agatha in the past and how she became who she is and why she's in the position she's in. And it was interesting to learn that the Witch's Road didn't really exist until Billy created it. I, really feel badly for Agatha and what she's been through. We got to see a little bit more about her relationship with Rio, aka Death, that they were lovers, but we don't know the whole backstory, which I think is good because they didn't, spell it all out and reveal the whole mystery in one season. I think that gives them room to tell the rest of that story in season two, and I'd be very interested to see that story. We don't know what, if anything, is going to happen to Alice. Is she going to be able to get back to life? Is she going to be a ghost? We don't know. What's going to happen with Jenny? She's got her powers back and she's free to do as she will, as it harm none, apparently, as the witch's code goes. So, what's going to happen with her? I think those are all good mysteries for season two. And I hope we get a season two. I wasn't so sure I wanted that as the middle episodes were airing because they weren't that good. They were just kind of there. But I think the way that they wrapped this up and where they took the story was really good. I want to know about Agatha's relationship with Rio. I want to know what's so awful about the truth about what happened to Nicholas. I didn't see anything awful in that flashback, so maybe there's more there. I want to know, is Billy going to find Tommy? And once he does, what's going to happen there? Is Wanda going to end up getting involved? Can Agatha get back to a corporeal body? A lot of stuff I'd like to see the resolution to, and I think it's good that they left open because resolving it all would have made it all too pat. So I really like where it ended. I thought there was a lot of emotion, poured into these last couple of episodes, a lot of, you know, human condition stuff. And I just thought it was really, really great. And I wish the season weren't over. I'm looking forward to a season two. I hope they do a season two, and I hope we get to see some of the characters back. But that's really it. I mean, it was just a great, great episode full of emotion. It answered some questions, but left some unanswered, which I think is good. And that's really all there is. So I'm going to get out of here for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.